Hi, my name is Alfredo Gomez. I've been in real estate since 2019, and I've been also a real estate associate at NAM Properties since 2023.
Hi, my name is Trevino. I've been a realtor for 2.5 years now, and I've actually been with NAN Properties for going on a year and a half as well.
So the way I met Marco was he was my neighbor. And I say he was my neighbor because when I became a real estate agent within my first couple of years, he actually approached me to help him buy his first house, which we were able to accomplish. And throughout that transaction, I was able to see something in him where I saw his interest in becoming a real estate agent and going into investing and things of that nature. So Marco, over the last 2 years, has become a real estate agent and we've been working together here at NAM Properties.
Yeah, to be honest, I was all over the place. I was still in university, so kind of juggling that. Early parent, so my son was probably like a year and a half, and that's kind of when I thought, hey, I gotta make a move here. I got to expand, family's expanding, so of course, who better than my neighbor? We had a good relationship at the time, so I said, hey, I'm looking for a home. We just got into deeper conversations, and it pretty much took off from there. I think, I don't know if I became an agent just because of, the way he kind of formulated everything into me, but I think also because I bugged the heck out of him throughout the process, and he said, hey, just go get your license. What do you need me for? And so, to be honest, it was just a home run from there.
He's very sharp, very smart. He took a lot of initiative, when we were going through the process. I think a lot of times, and I remember telling him, I'm like, Marco, you just need the reassurance because you're doing all the work. I know that makes me look bad on camera, but he did. He researched lenders on his own. He understood the terms very well. He looked for properties. So with him, especially with working with a first-time home buyer, he did a lot of that research on his own. He really just needed me to give him the reassurance and telling him like, yes, you're on the right track. So just seeing how sharp and intelligent he was in accessing that information, those resources, and understanding the process very well, I knew he was fit for this job. A little more about his character. He's present. He knows how to stay calm. We know in real estate, we run all over the place and we're getting hit in different directions. So just seeing him very poised, playing the pocket, a little sports term, but just knowing how to hang in the pocket. And I knew he was made for this. I was just very impressed in working with him. And I was very honored when he approached me and asked me more questions as to how you can get into real estate. And I'm just very blessed and very happy to have the opportunity to work with him. So Marco, tell me how these first 2 years in real estate have been going on for you.
I don't know if you remember the dungeon drop at Six Flags there, Alfredo, pero like that. First year, I just kind of climbed all the way to the top, and then ever since then, I've just been on the downward spiral. But no, it's been fun. It's been fun. I think the first year, I was kind of out on my own. Of course, still with Alfredo in my back pocket, right? Anytime I needed something, he was always a phone call, text away. But I kind of journeyed on my own, went with a different broker, just kind of trialed the lands there to see what it was. And then since this last year, of course, being here at NAN with Alfredo, it's definitely been, a complete 180. Again, he was always a phone call away, but now, a little bit closer, we kind of work hand in hand with each other. And so since then, I'd say, definitely an upward trend from where it started. Alfredo, at what moment did you kind of just jump all into real estate? When did you think it was time?
So I've always been interested in real estate, really. I mean, ever since I was a young kid, I just remember growing up with the idea that I wanted to own several properties. I didn't really know how that was going to come about, but I felt like the seed was planted very early on somehow, and it was just kind of there. I went the traditional route, going to college, going to school, building a career in education, which is what I used to do before. And then I guess I just kind of felt stuck at some point in my career where I just felt like I wasn't growing enough to the potential that I felt like I had. And then I also encountered some personal situations within my family where my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer and other situations that happened. And I just needed a different career, a different avenue that was going to allow me to be there for the treatments, to spend more time with my kids, and just make more money to be able to provide for the family. So I think when life tests you with those type of situations, it's easier to make the jump. So for me, it was a no-brainer at that point where I just knew that a different vehicle was going to take me where I saw that I was going to be able to do better for myself and do better for my family. So Marco, what does a normal day looks like for you?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question, to be honest. Every day's different. I mean, sometimes you're looking at, new construction homes, just kind of checking out what's coming out new into the market, whether it's for investment opportunities or for the first-time buyer that you maybe met at the open house last week, right? So it could be that. It could be just going out to open houses and just kind of seeing where the market's trending, just talking to different people, whether it's at a coffee shop. So to be honest, you're all over the place at all times, just trying to stay, trying to stay in the loop,
I think that's what makes it exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, no, agreed. So Alfredo, what part of the job do you like the most?
If I had to summarize it into one word, I would say uncertainty. It is fun. So you do meet a lot of people. And I remember when I first started, people would tell me every transaction is different. And I'm like, man, it can't be. After so many, I'm sure there's going to be quite some similarities there. But no, truly, every transaction is different just because there are so many elements involved within real estate. So you're working with different people. We're very fortunate to be in a city like Houston where we have so much diversity, so many different backgrounds. So that also makes it exciting because you get to work with a great realm of individuals as well and just different dynamics and all that. So that makes it very exciting. But again, like Marco said, also we have diversity in real estate here. We have investors, we have new construction, we have resale properties, multifamilies. There's just so much going on and so much that can go wrong at the same time.
Yeah.
That again, just being up on your toes and knowing that you have to be very proactive in this type of role and trying to anticipate as much uncertainty as you can, I think that's what makes it very exciting. Because when you're able to have a successful transaction, it just builds your self-esteem, and it just tells yourself I'm made for this, so I'm ready for the next one. It's kind of like getting a small high for every transaction and just knowing that, okay, I'm ready for the next one. What are you going to hit me next with? So Marco, how would you describe Houston to somebody that has never been here?
There's a lot to Houston. It's a melting pot, right? I mean, there's so many diversities. If you want some flavor of food, just go down the street and you'll find pretty much everything that you want.
Oh yeah.
And we're huge on sports. So,
Yeah.
myself, a hometown fan. So if you're looking for any type of entertainment, again, it's just a walk down the street and you can find anything and, just open the door. So Alfredo, when somebody's new to Houston, let's say they're out of town, out of state, whatever, and they're looking for something in Houston, what areas do you point them to? Is there certain areas of the city, towns, whatever?
Man, that's a good question. Now, of course, as realtors, we have to be cautious as to how we're directing people, because you cannot be biased. But I think it really depends on the type of client that you're dealing with. If I go back to my most recent client, this was a couple that were relocating from Ohio, and they wanted to be closer to the beach. So of course we talked about that side of town, closer to Galveston, Bay Area, League City, Friendswood, all those different things. Now I also talked to them about the not so pretty part of Houston sometimes, right? We do deal with a lot of storms because we're so close to the Gulf. So understanding things like windstorm, flooding, and things like that. Now for these individuals, they also express, again, when you it's important to get to know who you're working with, and getting to know my clients. They were both wedding planners. So I told them also, I asked them, well, what's kind of like your target audience? Who do you work with? What is the type of venues and things like that you do? So I can kind of position yourself in an area where you're going to have the ability to commute and just be proximal to your clients and things like that. Because another great thing about Houston is our commute. I think the average commute in Houston is like 45 minutes, depending on where you are. And there's also a saying that we have here in Houston. Houston is an hour away from Houston, and I think it's very true. So again, that's just an example of, I think because we are such a big and diverse city, it really depends on the type of clientele that you're working with. So I think it's getting important to first get to know who you're working with and what their criteria is in order to be able to position them with a great property and a great location.
Just curious on that, Alfredo. The couple from Ohio, do they miss the snow?
They don't actually. They don't. And I always tell them, you kind of have to pick your poison, because here, unfortunately for us, like I said, we have to deal with floods and hurricanes and windstorms and things like that. But for them, it's the shoveling snow. So if you ask me which one I prefer, I'm good with the hurricanes. I'll weather a storm rather than a snowstorm.
Yeah, I feel that.
All right, here we go. Inner loop or suburbs?
Suburbs.
Heights or midtown?
Ooh, I think I'd go Heights.
Katy or Sugarland?
And that's tough. Katie.
Best hidden gem neighborhood?
I'm gonna go with my area, the Groves.
Alfredo, one word for the Houston market right now.
Hot.
Biggest red flag in the house?
Ooh, I'd say the smell. Yeah. the
Oh,
smell.
that's a good one,
Yeah.
dude. That's actually a really good one.
Alfredo, a trend, a house trend, you wish would disappear?
Gray paint. It's way too much.
Hustle or balance?
Balance, for sure.
I agree.
Alfredo, describe your business in one word.
Where I'll be honest, the first word that came to mind was busy, but the next one was exciting, and I will stick to that one. It's exciting.
Staging or selling it as is?
I'm gonna go with
a
that.
balance.
That's right. It all depends on the client preference there and kind of the what market you're in. So I'm just gonna go either. It just depends. Just depends.
Marco, I want to thank you so much for having this conversation. And if you want more content like this, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.